Conservative hate pundit Matt Walsh has been busted for attempting to lure in influential members of the transgender community in order to do a so-called documentary. So now, this is a very insidious tactic because this is not going to be about like, oh, we're a completely impartial, fair documentary on the lives of trans people. No, they're going to use the footage to turn around and attack trans people. So now UCSC researcher Ellie Ehrlich had exposed this effort in a Twitter thread. So I want to show that to you here. First, this is just her quote. It started with an email from something called the Gender Unity Project a couple of weeks ago. They claimed they were doing a film on the trans community and gave me names of well-known trans individuals and surgeons that they had interviewed. It all seemed pretty normal at first, and even talked to the producer, McKenna Lynn Waters, keep that name in your head, on the phone beforehand. She sounded like a well-meaning cis film graduate who was just curious about the trans community. All right. So, she says it seems innocent enough, but let me look into it. She claimed the documentary was self-funded. I was suspicious because she had just finished college recently, but figured she was just a rich kid who has that kind of money. Later, she told me in person that they were interviewing in Chicago, suddenly canceled. This happens, but still sus. Then she offered to fly me to Arizona. Again, the surgeon they were interviewing wasn't responding to them. And then finally to Nashville, where Matt Walsh lives. So now there's more to this. From then on, Ellie explains that on release forms that she had received, they had no company listed, no company name listed at all. She then looked up the Gender Unity Project and then looked up the person that she had talked to on the phone. Who, by the way, she said, the person I talked to was very, very nervous, seemed very nervous to be talking to me at the same, for some odd reason. I don't know, I just chalked this up maybe to nerves or not being used to talking to people. But then again, when you combine it with some of the other stuff, it got very sus, very suspicious. Now, it turns out that the person isn't actually a real person. I just mentioned that McKenna Lynn. After she said that after some heavy searching, I realized that she used her middle name in her emails. I found the IMDb page of her real name, which is McKenna Waters. McKenna Waters is Matt Walsh's producer. Oops. Her Twitter features videos of Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro saying some insidious, pretty hateful things against trans people. So now Ellie describes this as not just a red flag, but a gun to her face. And of course, I'm inclined to agree. Ellie. And so it did not stop there. After looking even further into the Gender Unity Project, Ellie discovered that it was registered to Justin Folk. Justin Folk is a far-right documentarian who also happens to work for Matt Walsh and Prager University. Gee, I wonder if they're serious about making a fair representation of the lives of transgender Americans. I wonder if they're going to be objective and impartial. No, because Matt Walsh had telegraphed this entire thing when he declared that he was going to have an assault on gender ideology and was planning and working on something special. Gee, I'm guessing that this is probably what that is. And by the way, Walsh's producer also reached out to the same person, Ellie. Here's what she said. After getting in contact with an interviewee, I noticed a producer, Rebecca Dobkowitz, emailed me back in July. Like McKenna, she used a fake last name. She refused to tell me the producer's name and then ghosted. And Ellie wasn't the only person from this organization. The only person that this organization had reached out to. As I mentioned, they reached out to other prominent members of the transgender community. So this gender unity project, it is nothing to do with gender unity. It's a front group that was going to try to make a hit piece documentary on transgender Americans. So McKenna Waters, McKenna Lynn, whatever name she went by, was using fake names, fake credentials, and a fake story to try to make this hate documentary to incite people against transgender Americans. It's absolutely disgusting. It's gross. It's exploitative. It's perfectly on brand for Matt Walsh, honestly. So now that this has been busted wide open, here you have Twitter suspending the account of the Gender Unity Project, and you also had the Walsh's producer that was named in this. Suddenly their account has been deleted. Weird how that works out. And by the way, Justin Folk also put his account on protected. Oops. Oh no. They're so absolutely busted. You don't do that if you didn't do anything wrong. So busted. So now look, I can't give enough credit to Ellie Ehrlich for digging into this and finding out the truth about what these people are doing and warning other people, other members of the community, and everyone else about the hateful intentions of people like Matt Walsh. Again, there's still a ton of hate and misinformation that is directed against trans people, and they're using it as part of the conservative culture wars. And people like Matt Walsh, again, they can't wait. They can't wait to do anything they can to drive fear and hate towards a community that deserves neither of those things. You know what the community deserves? Understanding, love, compassion, and respect. And they need those things more than ever.